Today we're going to talk about the difference between CA and CPA when it comes to the perceived value, the salary packages in India. Now, before we jump into it, please do subscribe. As many of you all might know, we do train candidates pan-India as well as internationally for courses such as CPA, ACCA, CFA, and so on. So if you'd like to reach out to us, we'll leave the number below. Feel free to contact us. Now, getting back into the main topic at hand. Let me start with the most basic knowledge that all of us have. A fresher CA, by a fresher CA I mean somebody who's completed his entire CA, his foundation, his inter-CA or IPCC as well as final CA and the 3-year articleship in the middle. And then that person is called what we call a qualified CA. If he's a first attempt cleared on an average, okay, he's around the age of 22-ish approx. And if he starts working in the big 4 or any big brand, that candidate salary will range between 6 to 8 lakhs. If he's a rank holder or something, it can grow higher. If he works in a slightly lesser company than the big 4, it would be lesser than 6 lakhs, but it will be then between 4.5, 5, 6. The average you can take for a CA is between 6 to 8 lakhs. Now, this doesn't matter what background you've come from. All that matters is that you've completed, you're able to call yourself a fully qualified CA. Come to CPA. Now, CPA, many people have these kind of questions. What happens if I'm just a CPA in India? What happens if I'm a CPA overseas, like I go to the US? And finally, what happens if I'm a CA plus CPA? So we're going to answer all three. Point number one, if you're just a CPA in India, first of all, that's very few candidates we know actually only pursue CPA and then stay in India. Like if you're only pursuing CPA, you might want to go overseas as your primary goal. And then India becomes your backup. However, if you fall within that range, if you're a CPA and you have at least maybe a year or so of experience, your salary package can be equal to that of a CA. There are situations where you being a fresher CPA can also get the same kind of salary as a CA, but a chartered accountant has the expertise as well as the experience, whereas a CPA might just have the expertise. So you'll have to build up a little bit of experience to be equal to a CA. However, even if you just complete your exam and then you start working, even if you're earning 4 or 5 lakhs, which is what you will get as a CPA, that's really not that far off and really not bad. And plus, building experience is not really hard, right? You're going to do it irrespective. So by the time you reach the 6 lakh package, which a CA gets on an average, you're not really far behind others if you just do CPA. Second, what happens if I go overseas? So CPA, a lot of people decide to they want to settle in, obviously US, India. From India, there are more people who go to Canada, become a Canadian CPA by doing US CPA. So we're going to make an entire different video on that eventually, where there are benefits of why you should do US CPA even if you want to go to Canada instead of only doing Canadian CPA. But when it comes to the salary package, unfortunately, there is no basic figure I can give you like I could for India. It depends on you, obviously, with your experience, your background. It depends where you go. It depends on the economic conditions that time in that country. So if you go to Australia or Canada or US, if you go today or you go 3 years later, the salary packages for the same kind of candidate will not be the same. That's why it varies a lot. However, there are basic estimates that if you are a CPA born and raised, for example, in US and you work there, your salary will be between $60,000 to $80,000 a year as a starting salary. And the last point, CPA plus CA or rather CA plus CPA. Now, this is where most of the Indian candidates land up pursuing CPA from. You're already a chartered. You work in companies like the Big Four, where a lot of US companies have outsourced their accounts, and you start working on things like either US accounting, which is what we call US GAAP, or you start working on US taxation. And if as a chartered you start working, it takes you a couple of years to get the hang of it. But then in a couple of years, if you're just an Indian CA and you're working on US clients, it might make more sense for you to do CPA. Now, if you're going to invest and your time and energy and money yourself, you better make sure that in your company you are eligible for a hike post completion CPA. Otherwise, what most companies do is the companies themselves sponsor their chartered accountants, to learn CPA. Because think about it, right? If you have completed CA and you're working, and I'm an employer of the Big Four, right? I have US clients. I will want you to become a CPA, not only to show them, but also so that overall our company's work becomes more aligned to our clients' interest. So that is why I will say, okay, fine, I'll sponsor the 2, 3, 4 lakh rupees. It's not 2, it's between 3 to 4, sometimes 4.5 to complete CPA. And as an employer, I'll invest in you while telling you that, okay, fine, if you pass CPA because of my investment, you got to stay for 3 years more. So I have a good employee with me. I have upskilled him or her who has agreed, and we overall together make the customer happy. Now, if you do that, there's a chance that if I sponsor you, I will not give you a hike, but your longevity at the firm grows. So you might just be okay with that. The only thing you're putting in is effort. However, if you are going to be paying, you better make sure, like I said earlier, that the company does give you a hike. And for that, there is no standard answer again. Because if it's 3 years experience versus 5 years of experience before you take up CPA, your salary starts shifting. Finally, last thing, guys, is there are a lot of individual CAs who do CPA because they want to practice a little bit with ad hoc US clients. That's also a great opportunity, but that's more if you are looking at starting your own business, your own firm, a CA firm, rather than just doing a job. So yeah, I think these are the main sort of options that you have if you're a CPA in India. And I hope we've answered all of them. As usual, if you've missed something, please leave it below in the comments.